Chosen one, this is the moment to begin seeing yourself differently. The version of you have been praying for. The version who is financially secure, grounded, and able to breathe without constantly calculating what comes next, is closer than you think. Listen carefully, because there is something about this season that you may have misunderstood. And I want you to recognize it before you move forward. You have carried pressure, uncertainty, long stretches of waiting, and moments when you wondered quietly whether anything was ever going to change. Yet even those unseen moments were shaping your ability to hold the life you have been asking for. There were probably days when you looked at your circumstances and thought, why is this taking so long? Maybe you watched other people move ahead while you were still trying to find your footing. And somewhere inside, you began questioning whether your own moment had passed. But what felt like silence was still doing something within you. I have been preparing you to receive abundance without allowing fear to control you once it arrives. Because wealth is not simply about having more money. It is about becoming someone who can carry more responsibility, more freedom, more opportunity, and more peace without losing yourself in the process. If this speaks to something you have been carrying, type Amen. What is changing in you reaches deeper than your finances. Your identity is shifting, and eventually that inner shift will begin showing itself in the way you make decisions, the way you respond to opportunities, and the way you see your own future. You are learning to recognize possibility where you once saw limitation, and you are beginning to understand that the wealthy version of you is not simply someone with more possessions. It is someone who can stand in a room where opportunity is present and remain steady enough to receive it. It is someone who no longer needs constant approval before taking the next step. Think about the seasons when doors closed and you could not understand why. Think about the effort you poured into things that seemed to go unnoticed, the prayers that felt unanswered, and the plans that never seemed to move at the pace you expected. Those experiences were shaping your capacity, even when you could not see it. I was teaching you through the waiting, removing attachments that could not follow you forward, and allowing certain things to fall away so you could become more grounded in who you are. The next version of you does not spend every moment asking whether other people approve, because something quieter is beginning to rise inside you. Confidence that does not need permission. And that confidence is coming from a deeper place. I am giving you clearer thoughts, so that fear does not have to make every decision for you. And I am strengthening your discipline, so that when something valuable enters your hands, you know how to care for it. You have spent enough time learning how to survive. Now you are learning how to sustain. The reason this journey has felt slow is because I have been teaching you how to hold what you once only knew how to ask for. Your readiness has been tested in ways other people may never understand, and now you are beginning to enter a season where increase can meet the person you have become. Take a moment and show your faith by liking this video, not because a simple action creates your future, but because you are choosing to pause and acknowledge what is changing within you. You have asked for a different life, and what is happening now is deeper than receiving a different set of circumstances. You are learning to see yourself as someone capable of carrying more, handling more, building something lasting, and allowing good things to remain in your life. The wealthy version of you does not live from the constant fear that everything will disappear the moment it arrives. Soon you may begin noticing small changes before anything dramatic happens. An idea may come to you with unusual clarity. A conversation may open a door you had not considered, or an opportunity may appear where you once would have immediately assumed you were not ready. Pay attention to how you respond. The real evidence of transformation may first appear in something as simple as the moment you realize you are no longer hesitating the way you used to. If you trust God through this process, type 777. There are also things within you that are ready to be released. Doubt has been asking you to question every possibility before you even begin. Fear has taught you to step back from opportunities that could stretch you, and comparison has made you measure your chapter against someone else's timeline. Those patterns have had a place in your story, but they do not have to accompany you into the next one. Your path has never needed to look like anyone else's. And what is being built in your life carries its own timing, its own lessons, and its own purpose. You will notice the transformation first in your responses. Where you once froze, you will begin to move with greater clarity. Where you once needed everyone else to reassure you, you will begin trusting what you already know. And where you once felt only lack, you will start recognizing resources, possibilities, and openings that were difficult to see before. This is what alignment can look like in real life. It is not always a dramatic sign from the sky. Sometimes it is the quiet moment when your body no longer reacts to an opportunity with the same fear it used to carry. And when the door appears, walk through it with confidence. Do not immediately shrink yourself because something feels bigger than what you have known. Do not spend so much time wondering whether you deserve the opportunity that you miss the moment to respond. I have already seen the future you are moving toward, and I have been working on the part of you that can meet it with steadiness. You do not need to become someone else overnight. You are becoming more fully who you were being shaped to become all along. The increase coming into your life is meant to become a tool for living with greater freedom, giving with greater generosity, and building something that can last. You have carried burdens for a long time, and some of them have become so familiar that you almost forgot what it feels like to set them down. Financial pressure, constant mental calculations, the fear of being stuck, the private worry you rarely tell anyone about these things have taken energy from you. Now I am teaching you a different way to move, one step at a time, where progress can feel steady instead of frantic, and where peace becomes part of your definition of wealth. As you walk with me, your decisions will begin to matter differently. There will be moments when something inside you feels quietly certain, and you will recognize that certainty because it will carry less panic and more clarity. Do not dismiss every meaningful moment as coincidence simply because it arrives quietly. Some of the confirmations you have been asking for may come through the way your own heart responds when the right direction appears. Stay grounded, stay attentive, and stay connected to me, because this next chapter will require both faith and action. The wealthy version of you does not need fear to disappear before moving forward. That version of you has learned how to feel fear and still choose wisely. I am helping you replace the old inner voice that constantly predicted failure with something steadier, something that reminds you that you are capable of learning, adapting, and continuing. This is why things may already feel different, even if your circumstances have not completely changed yet. The first evidence may be inside you, the way you think, the way you breathe, the way you respond, and the way you quietly begin to believe that your future can hold more than your past ever showed you. If you believe that God is leading you into that deeper transformation, type A711. Let that moment be a reminder that the waiting has not erased your future, and the uncertainty you experienced does not have to define the person you become. Something in you has already begun to shift, and the life you have been praying for will require more than simply receiving wealth. It will require the wisdom, discipline, confidence, and inner peace to recognize it, carry it, and build something lasting with it. There are moments ahead when you will be tested, but the purpose of those moments will be different from what you once believed. They will not arrive to crush what you have built. They will reveal what has changed inside you. You may find yourself standing in a situation that looks strangely familiar, facing the same kind of pressure, the same kind of decision, or the same fear that once made you pull back. And this time, something in you will recognize, quietly and almost unexpectedly, I do not have to respond the way I used to. You will encounter choices that once left you second-guessing yourself, circumstances that used to make you feel small, and opportunities that once seemed too risky to touch. But you are carrying something different now. I have been strengthening parts of you that you could not see growing. And when those moments arrive, that strength will rise naturally, instead of needing to be forced. Pay attention to how you respond, because sometimes the clearest evidence of transformation is not what happens around you, but the fact that something that once controlled you no longer does. And as your response changes, the people around you may begin to change as well. There are connections being brought into your life that can encourage you, challenge you, teach you, and widen the way you see what is possible. Some may arrive quietly, through an ordinary conversation or an unexpected introduction, and yet something about the connection will stay with you. Pay attention in this season, because not every meaningful relationship will announce itself as important when it first appears. I am bringing people into your path who can meet you where you are going. While some relationships may naturally begin to create distance, that distance may confuse you at first, especially if you once believed those people would always remain close. But sometimes growth changes the rhythm of a relationship before you fully understand why. You do not have to leave with anger, prove your worth, or carry bitterness into the next chapter. You can simply recognize that some people were part of one season while your life is beginning to move toward another. The wealthy version of you does not need to stand alone, but it also does not need to keep every connection simply because it feels familiar. You are learning to recognize the difference between people who drain your direction and people who genuinely strengthen it. Some relationships will feel like support, some like honest guidance, and some may challenge you in ways that ultimately expand your vision. What you are gaining in this season may require you to release certain attachments with peace, trusting that what belongs in your future will have room to grow there. Your relationship with money is changing too, and this may be one of the most important changes of all. You are learning to see money as something you can manage with wisdom, rather than something that constantly determines whether you feel safe. For a long time, financial pressure may have made every decision feel heavier than it needed to be, but I am teaching you to approach increase with steadiness. When more comes into your hands, you are learning how to protect it, direct it, grow it, and use it in a way that reflects the person you are becoming. The discipline in you for a reason. You are being prepared to create something that lasts, rather than reaching for something that disappears as quickly as it arrives. And there is an idea connected to your growth that may come to you with a different kind of clarity, something that makes you pause because it feels simple, direct, and strangely timely. When it comes, do not dismiss it simply because it feels unfamiliar. If you believe you are being guided toward what is meant for you, type TEV1010. That idea may open a path you could not see before, but you will still have to take the step. The wealthy version of you understands that divine guidance and personal action can move together. You have spent enough time waiting for the perfect moment, wondering when everything would finally line up. But sometimes the moment you have been asking for begins when you decide to move with what you already have. I am working with you, not asking you to sit still and expect your life to change without your participation. When you move forward, I will meet you there with direction for the next step. You do not have to see the entire road before you begin walking it. Your willingness to act, to learn, to adjust, and to keep going will shape how quickly you recognize the results of what you are building. This is a partnership between faith and movement, between what you sense within and what you are willing to do with it. There is another change coming, and it will show up in the way you speak about your own life. You have heard your inner voice repeat fear, lack, uncertainty, and old stories about what has never worked before. I am teaching you to stop allowing your past to write the language of your future. Speak from the direction you are moving toward. Even while you are still becoming that person, let your words carry the expectation of someone who has learned to believe in possibility without pretending the journey has been easy. The wealthy version of you speaks with vision, because that version understands that consistency creates what intensity alone cannot. Small choices made repeatedly can become something much larger than you expected, even while the change remains invisible for a while. There will be days when you wonder whether your effort is doing anything at all, especially when you cannot yet see the result. But something can be taking root beneath the surface while everyone else is looking for an instant breakthrough. Stay with the process, because lasting success is often built quietly before it becomes visible. Even as things begin moving faster, patience will still have a place in your life. You may notice fear returning in certain moments, especially when something begins to matter more, but you will recognize it sooner now. You will feel it, breathe through it, and choose your next step anyway. That is growth, not the absence of fear, but the moment fear stops making your decisions for you. And beneath all of this, I am placing a deeper kind of peace within you. It will become easier to sense what feels right for your path and what leaves you constantly forcing, chasing, or abandoning yourself. You will not need to analyze every moment until you are exhausted. You will learn to become still enough to notice what your spirit has already been trying to tell you. Stay connected to me, stay awake to what is happening within you, and allow clarity to come one step at a time. The season of feeling completely stuck is beginning to loosen its grip. Movement will start appearing in places that once seemed silent, and ideas may come more naturally, while opportunities begin taking forms you did not expect. When that happens, you may be tempted to ask why it is happening now, especially after such a long period of waiting. Instead, let yourself recognize what you are seeing: the preparation, the patience, and the strength you built when nobody else could see the work. You are not behind, chosen one. You are not late to your own life. Some of the delays that hurt you are also teaching you what you needed to know, and some of the challenges that exhausted you were quietly developing the wisdom you will need for what comes next. What once felt like waiting may soon look different when you finally understand what that season was preparing you to carry. Those lessons are becoming something you can actually use now. The things that once hurt you, delayed you, or forced you to question yourself are slowly becoming wisdom you can carry into the future. The wealthy version of you was never going to appear in a single dramatic moment. You are building that person through every decision, every boundary, every difficult lesson, and every quiet choice to keep moving when nobody else can see how hard you are trying. And if you look closely, chosen one, you may realize you are already becoming that person. So keep your attention on where your life is going, rather than continually revisiting where it has been. Your past may explain certain patterns, but it does not need to keep directing your decisions. There are memories that still know how to pull you backward, especially when something new begins to feel uncertain, but you are learning to notice that pull without obeying it. Your future needs your presence now. Your faith needs somewhere steady to rest, and your actions need to match the life you say you are preparing to receive. What is ahead is deeper than simply having circumstances change around you. It is a transformation in the way you think, respond, choose, and carry yourself, and that kind of change reaches into every part of your life. I am preparing your mind for a different level of awareness, because what you once reacted to automatically will soon become something you can pause and observe. The wealthy version of you does not need to make every decision from urgency. You are learning to breathe, look again, and choose from clarity instead of letting one emotional moment determine your future. That pause may become one of your greatest forms of protection. There were decisions you once made because you were afraid, because you felt behind, or because you needed an immediate answer just to feel safe. Now you are learning to step back long enough to see what a choice will mean tomorrow, next month, and years from now. I am teaching you to see beyond the moment in front of you, because there is a larger picture unfolding in your life that you could not fully recognize while you were simply trying to get through the day. If you trust in Jesus and believe He is leading you through this transformation, type 1212. And soon you may begin noticing opportunities in places you would have overlooked before. They may not arrive looking dramatic or perfectly timed. Sometimes the door will look almost ordinary, and the significance will only become clear after you choose to pay attention. You will begin recognizing patterns, conversations, ideas, and possibilities that fit the direction you have been growing toward. What changes is not that every opportunity suddenly becomes obvious, but that fear no longer has the final word when something unfamiliar appears. You are also beginning to understand the value of your time in a much deeper way. You may find yourself losing patience for conversations, habits, environments, and distractions that leave you emotionally exhausted without giving anything meaningful back. That is part of your growth. The wealthy version of you understands that time is something you invest, and you are becoming more careful about where your attention goes, because you finally understand that the life you want is built from the hours you keep giving away. Type yes if you are ready to receive the miracles and growth God is bringing into your life. You may notice yourself wanting to change small things that once seemed insignificant. The way you organize your day, the way you approach your work, the way you respond when something goes wrong, or the amount of energy you give to things that used to consume you. Listen to those quiet nudges. A new rhythm often begins in ways that feel almost too ordinary to matter, and only later do you realize those small adjustments change the direction of your life. Some of these changes may feel unfamiliar before they feel natural. You may even wonder why certain distractions suddenly seem less interesting, why you no longer crave the same approval, or why you have become more protective of your attention. This is part of the deeper focus being formed within you. I am strengthening your discipline so you can finish what you begin, because the next version of you cannot be built from inspiration alone. It requires the willingness to keep showing up after the excitement fades. Consistency is becoming one of your quiet strengths. You are learning to let go of the constant need to be seen, praised, or reassured before you trust yourself. There was a version of you that needed someone else to say, "You are doing the right thing," before you could take another step, but that dependence is beginning to loosen. The confidence rising within you is quieter than that. It comes from knowing what you have survived, what you have learned, and what I have already placed within your heart. And one day, perhaps sooner than you expect, you will catch yourself responding differently and realize something has changed. A situation that once would have sent you into overthinking may barely disturb your peace. A decision that once felt impossible may suddenly feel manageable. And something you once believed was far beyond you may begin to look like a possibility you are actually capable of reaching. That moment will carry a strange kind of clarity, because you will understand that the transformation was happening long before you had words for it. You are entering a season where learning will become part of your expansion. Stay teachable even when new information challenges something you have believed for years, because growth requires the humility to admit there are things you have not learned yet. New skills, new perspectives, and new understanding can become tools in your hands, and the person you are becoming will know how to turn what you learn into something practical. Do not assume an opportunity has no value simply because it arrived differently than you imagined. Some opportunities may come through unexpected places, unfamiliar conversations, or ideas that initially feel too small to matter. Look twice before you dismiss something simply because it does not resemble the picture you had in your head. I am teaching you to recognize potential before it becomes obvious to everyone else, while also giving you the wisdom to explore carefully rather than rushing blindly. Trust that you can move with faith and discernment at the same time. You will also begin carrying a stronger sense of responsibility, and I want you to understand what that means. Responsibility is not always a weight placed on your shoulders. Sometimes it is evidence that you have finally become capable of carrying what you once prayed would never come. You are learning to face what needs to be handled instead of avoiding it, and that willingness is a sign of maturity. The wealthy version of you understands that greater freedom also requires greater accountability. Embrace that part of your growth. There is a quiet confidence forming in you, and it will eventually become visible without you having to announce it. People may notice it in the way you speak, the way you enter a room, the way you make decisions, or the way you remain calm when something unexpected happens. You will not need to convince everyone that you have changed, because your presence will begin communicating what your words once tried to prove. You may also notice yourself walking away from habits that once felt like part of your identity. Some things will simply stop fitting, and you may not even have a dramatic explanation for why. That is not necessarily loss. Sometimes it is the space created when you finally stop feeding what keeps you small. I am helping you make room for what actually matters, and the more honestly you release what drains your purpose, the more clearly you will see where your energy belongs. This process can feel uncomfortable because familiar patterns often feel safer simply because you already know them. But your vision is becoming clearer, and that clarity will begin guiding your choices in ways that feel more natural. You will spend less time asking everyone else what direction you should take, and more time listening carefully to what you already know within yourself. Chosen one, you are moving toward a life that requires your full attention, and little by little, you are learning to give it. The clarity you are gaining is going to change the way you move through your days. You will begin to recognize where you are headed, and even when distractions appear, something inside you will remember what matters. Stay close to that vision, chosen one, because you are being prepared to handle success with a steadiness that gives you peace rather than taking it away. The wealthy version of you is learning balance. You are learning how to stay grounded when life begins to improve, how to keep your focus when more responsibility arrives, and how to hold what you receive without letting it control you. I am building that steadiness within you now, because what comes into your hands must be something you can sustain, not something that overwhelms you. You will begin noticing results that reflect the inner work you have been doing. At first they may seem almost too small to matter, but pay attention to them, because small changes have a way of becoming evidence that something deeper is moving. Each step forward can remind you that your effort has meaning, and that you are further along than you sometimes allow yourself to see. There were moments when you held yourself back because, somewhere beneath the desire, you wondered whether you could actually sustain the life you were asking for. Maybe you wanted more, yet part of you quietly feared what more would demand from you. I am lifting that hidden fear and replacing it with a quieter, knowing that you are becoming capable of carrying greater responsibility, greater opportunity, and greater growth. Type 2222 if you are ready to receive this transformation with faith. You are beginning to understand that wealth is about more than what enters your life. It is also about who you become while learning to hold it. I am strengthening your patience, your discipline, and your character, so that what reaches your hands can be treated with wisdom, instead of being lost through old patterns. This is why so much of your journey has happened inwardly. Real wealth begins with the person who has to carry it, and I have been working on that person within you. There will be doors that open in ways you may not expect, and some of them may look almost ordinary when they first appear, so do not dismiss a small beginning simply because it does not resemble the picture you imagined. I am teaching you to recognize value where others may overlook it. You are becoming more attentive to what is placed in front of you, more willing to explore what once felt unfamiliar, and more courageous about taking the first step. That ability to see differently will become part of what separates your next season from the one you have already lived. Type 7772, affirm your belief. You are also going to notice a change in the way you carry pressure. Situations that once left you overwhelmed may begin to feel manageable, not because life suddenly became easier, but because you have developed a deeper capacity to remain steady inside difficulty. Chosen one, the strength being formed in you is teaching you how to use pressure as part of your growth, rather than allowing it to decide your direction. Your focus is becoming clearer too, and that clarity will help you stop spending your energy on everything that demands your attention. You are learning to recognize what deserves your time and what simply drains it, and that distinction will protect something precious within you. I am teaching you to move with intention, because the choices you make now are quietly shaping the life you will eventually look back on. Stay committed to that focus, even when progress feels ordinary. Lasting change rarely announces itself with noise. Sometimes it looks like a different decision, a healthier habit, an earlier morning, or the quiet choice to finish what you once would have abandoned. These small acts are building something stronger beneath the surface, and they matter more than you realize. Your environment will begin changing as well. You may notice it in the way you arrange your space, the habits you keep, the way you structure your days, or the things you are finally willing to release. These changes carry meaning because you are creating an environment that supports the person you are becoming, instead of continually pulling you back toward the person you used to be. The wealthy version of you understands that surroundings can either strengthen your discipline or quietly weaken it. You are learning to create more room for clarity, purpose, and the things that truly deserve your attention, and with that comes a growing sense of responsibility, not as something heavy placed upon your shoulders, but as evidence that you are becoming ready to handle more. You will begin facing what needs to be handled with a different kind of confidence. Instead of constantly postponing difficult decisions or hoping they disappear, you will find yourself meeting them with greater maturity. This is part of your transformation, chosen one, because becoming ready for more also means becoming willing to take responsibility for what is already in your hands. You are also learning to trust the quiet instincts within you. There will be moments when you know something needs to be done before you have every detail figured out, and you will feel less compelled to analyze every possibility until the moment passes. Pay attention to that growing clarity, because the more calmly you listen, the easier it becomes to recognize the direction being placed before you. And still, patience remains part of this journey. Even as movement begins, There will be moments when you are asked to wait, and that waiting can feel uncomfortable when your heart is ready for an answer. But this season is teaching you that waiting can have its own purpose. Things are being brought together in an order you cannot always see, so when the pieces finally meet, you will understand why they had to unfold this way. Trust the process, chosen one, even when you cannot yet see the whole picture. What feels quiet on the surface can still be preparing something meaningful underneath. You are learning to remain steady while the timing unfolds, and that patience is becoming part of your ability to receive what you have been preparing yourself to hold. There will be financial growth in your life, chosen one, but it is going to teach you how to feel steady while things improve. What is being built here is deeper than a temporary increase that disappears as quickly as it arrives. You are learning how to manage what you have, make thoughtful decisions with it, and build something that can continue growing over time. The wealthy version of you understands that lasting success has a rhythm of its own, and you are beginning to respect that rhythm, instead of trying to rush it. This understanding will protect you from choices made out of excitement, pressure, or fear. You will become more willing to pause, look at the bigger picture, and ask yourself what will still matter months or years from now. And as that wisdom grows, something else will change within you. The way you see yourself will begin to feel different, as though doubt is slowly losing its place and a quieter confidence is taking its seat. You may notice that confidence in the way you make decisions, the way you speak, and the way you carry yourself. People around you may sense it before you even have words for it, because certainty has a way of changing your presence. You will no longer need to prove that you belong in every room. You will begin to carry yourself as someone who knows they have a reason for being there. There is also a deeper sense of purpose forming within you. You are building a life that means something beyond appearances or accumulation, and that purpose will help keep you grounded when circumstances begin to improve. Your success is becoming connected to something larger than what you can immediately see, and remembering that will help you stay focused on what truly matters. You are being prepared for a different level of life, and part of that preparation means releasing patterns that once felt completely normal. Some habits may have been familiar because they helped you survive an earlier season, yet familiarity does not mean they belong in your future. I am helping you loosen your grip on those patterns so you can move forward with more freedom, even when letting them go feels uncomfortable. There may be moments when the weight of change becomes very real. You may even find yourself missing what was familiar simply because you knew how to live inside it, but do not mistake that discomfort for a sign that you are moving in the wrong direction. Growth can feel heavy before the new way of living becomes natural, so keep walking with me through that adjustment. The wealthy version of you is built through movement, through choices made again and again, and through the willingness to keep growing when the process feels quiet. I am guiding you even in the moments when you cannot see anything dramatic happening, and you are not walking through this season without direction. Every change you are experiencing is becoming part of the person you are growing into. Soon the growth within you will become easier to recognize on the outside. It will show through your choices, your results, your habits, and even the way you enter a room. And people may notice that something about you has changed without being able to explain exactly what it is. Chosen one, you will not need to announce the transformation. Your life will begin carrying evidence of it for you. Type 222 to affirm your faith. There will be moments when success finally begins touching your life, and you feel two things at once. Excitement, because something you hoped for is becoming real, and hesitation because receiving something new can feel unfamiliar. Let yourself recognize that feeling without allowing it to make your decisions for you, because unfamiliar does not mean you are unprepared. I am reminding you that you have been learning for this moment. Every step you take can become part of that preparation, and each opportunity can teach you something about who you are becoming. You are also learning to make decisions from clarity rather than from the old urgency that once made everything feel like it had to happen immediately. There was a time when fear or uncertainty may have pushed you toward choices you later questioned. Now you are developing the patience to consider what comes after the immediate moment, and that shift will help you build real stability. The wealthy version of you does not simply ask, "Can I have this?" It also learns to ask, "Can I care for this well once it is mine?" Type TLE111 to affirm this new level of understanding. With growth will come responsibility, and I want you to see that responsibility differently. It is not here to crush you beneath another weight. It is here to expand your capacity, teaching you how to hold more while remaining grounded, focused, and connected to me. As you embrace that responsibility, your identity will continue changing. You may notice that things you once spent enormous amounts of energy chasing no longer seem as important, while quieter things, peace, purpose, stability, meaningful work, and time begin carrying greater value. Your perspective is becoming more mature, and that clarity will help you invest yourself where your effort can actually produce something lasting. A deeper independence is forming within you as well. You will rely less on outside approval to know whether a decision feels right, and more on the understanding you have developed through experience and reflection. This does not mean becoming distant from people. It means becoming steady enough to keep moving when others do not fully understand the road you are walking. The wealthy version of you is learning to trust itself without becoming careless. You are beginning to think beyond immediate results and recognize how ordinary choices can quietly shape an extraordinary future. A decision that seems small today may become important later, which is why consistency matters even during seasons when you cannot yet see the reward. Trust what you are building, especially when the evidence is still subtle. There will be moments when you are asked to step beyond what feels comfortable, and those moments may stir the old instinct to retreat into what you already know. But I am guiding you through these experiences so you can discover abilities that only become visible once you are willing to move. The wealthy version of you is not defined by comfort alone. It is becoming someone who can choose purpose even when comfort would be easier. You are also learning how to manage your energy with greater care, recognizing which commitments strengthen you and which ones quietly leave you depleted. Pay attention to where your energy goes, chosen one, because your attention is part of what you are building with. As you become more intentional about what deserves your time, you will find yourself accomplishing more without constantly feeling as though you are running after everything at once. This awareness will become an important part of your success, because the way you protect and direct your energy will shape what you are able to create. There is also a deeper gratitude beginning to grow within you, chosen one, and it is changing the way you see your life. When you stop measuring everything by what is still missing and begin noticing what has already carried you this far, something inside you becomes lighter, more open, and more at peace with the journey. Gratitude creates room for you to recognize what is already present, and from that place you become more capable of receiving what comes next. This is more than simply telling yourself to be grateful. It is a change in perspective that reaches into the way you experience your ordinary days, especially when everything has not yet worked out the way you hoped. The wealthy version of you learns to appreciate what is in their hands while still believing in what is ahead, because gratitude keeps your heart steady while your circumstances continue to grow. You will also begin noticing that the confidence developing within you changes the way people respond. It may show in your voice, the way you make eye contact, the way you enter a room, or the way you finally stop explaining yourself. Before anyone has asked for an explanation, people can feel when someone has become more secure within themselves, and that quiet assurance can create opportunities that once seemed out of reach. You will not have to force this presence. It will come from the deeper work you have been doing, from becoming someone who trusts their own decisions and no longer needs every person around them to confirm their worth. And as things begin improving, I am also teaching you to remain humble, because staying grounded will help you protect what you are building, rather than becoming distracted by the attention that may come with it. The wealthy version of you does not need arrogance to feel powerful. It carries success with gratitude, remembers the road that brought it here, and understands that growth still requires wisdom. That balance will help you maintain what you are building long after the excitement of the first breakthrough has passed. There will be quiet moments when you look back and realize how much has changed. You may remember the version of yourself who once questioned whether anything would ever move. and suddenly you will see how many small steps were carrying you forward all along. Those moments will give you a different kind of clarity, because you will begin to understand your journey through the eyes of experience rather than through the uncertainty you felt while living it. Every difficult season will not suddenly become easy to remember, but you may finally see what those seasons taught you. The delays taught you patience, the uncertainty taught you discernment, and the moments that forced you to keep going showed you strength you did not know you possessed. That understanding will deepen your faith because you will recognize that your path was being shaped even during the times when you felt like nothing was happening. You are also learning to respond differently when something goes wrong. A setback that once would have made you question yourself may eventually become something you can examine without allowing it to define you. Chosen one, growth still has difficult days, and learning to move through them without turning against yourself is part of becoming stronger. I am strengthening your ability to adapt because life will continue to change, and wisdom sometimes means knowing when to adjust rather than insisting that everything unfold exactly as you imagined. You will encounter situations that ask you to change your approach, rethink a decision, or take another route toward the same purpose. Instead of seeing that flexibility as weakness, you will begin to understand it as another form of strength. This adaptability will help you move through unfamiliar situations with greater calm. It will allow you to recognize opportunities that require you to think clearly and respond when the moment arrives, rather than becoming frozen because the path looks different from what you expected. You are learning how to remain centered even while the circumstances around you are changing. And now, you are moving into a phase where the effort you've been making can begin to compound. The habits, decisions, discipline, and patience you have practiced quietly can start producing results that are easier to see, sometimes faster than you expected. Do not let that movement pull your attention away from what created it in the first place, because focus still matters when the season begins to accelerate.